Hello, beautiful souls. How are you? I hope you're doing super well, and I hope you're having an amazing week. I recorded this episode once already, and then I realized that I was like super emotional and angry, and I just didn't like my energy in it. So I'm re-recording this. Hopefully it'll be a little bit lighter and better and not so much anger. I was kind of going through a lot when I recorded it, so I feel like that was kind of like reflecting in the video. Like I was like very angry about some stuff, and I feel like you could like sense that, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that vibe. Obviously that's not like the energy I'm trying to give off of myself, and definitely not in my videos, and definitely not for you guys either, you know. So I wanted to re-record it and just start fresh. Yeah, I'm actually gonna turn on some like music for the background. Okay, got some frequency music playing in the background, just to kind of give myself a calm mind, and I try not to be too loud so it doesn't like overpower my voice, but yeah, so just trying to get my mic adjusted here. Yeah, so anyways, nothing is really new on my end. I like to do a little life update every time so you guys can kind of like hear what's going on in my life. Honestly, nothing really new is going on. Seasonal depression is currently kicking my fucking ass. I can't even exaggerate or try to be like, oh, it's not. No, like I'm literally like surviving, hanging on by a thread. So yeah, that's been really fun trying to get around that and trying to get out of that, and yeah, just something, you know. And it's sucks. It really does suck. I am still like trying to figure it out myself, and I feel like a lot of it has to do with what I'm gonna talk about today. So kind of goes hand in hand, which is like why I wanted to like start with that. So today's episode I wanted to talk about like people like around the holidays, like how it's like never easy. It's really usually pretty hard. A lot of people kind of like get really sad around this time of year because they think about like people that they've lost, or whatever, or just everybody is stressed, everybody's anxious, everybody is, I feel like as you get older, the holidays just like aren't like, these holidays at least, like Christmas just isn't as great as it was when you were a kid. Like I feel like I just looked forward to Christmas like so much when I was a kid, and now being older I just really like dread it. And it sucks because it's supposed to be this like merriest magical holiday, and I just feel like as I've gotten older it's just lost its like magic, I guess. Like it's just doesn't feel the same. It never just is what I am ever expecting it to be. I'm always expecting it to be this great, wonderful day, and it's usually not, and it's usually filled with so much stress and anxiety and like from everybody else, and then that kind of like rubs off on me, obviously being an empath, which that was like kind of one thing I wanted to talk about, like being an empath during holiday season and trying to like protect your own energy from everybody else, because everyone's energies are so intense, and obviously being in like bigger group situations, you're picking up on all that energy, and just trying to like find ways to like help you cope with that and help you deal with that so you don't absorb energies that aren't yours, and then therefore like ruin your own holidays from energy that's not even yours. So we can talk about that in a little bit. But I kind of wanted to preface this with like a lot of people get sad around the holidays. This is not an easy time of year for people. Obviously, like if you're not super, I had like a weird, if you're not super close with your family, it's always really hard. If you maybe don't talk to your family at all, it can be really hard. Honestly, it's just, there's, we tend to forget that everybody's life isn't all the same, and that sometimes this time of year isn't easy for people, and it also makes you reflect on, because it's almost the end of the year, so I feel like I always kind of reflect on the year, and I have been so sad this year throughout my reflections. Obviously earlier in the year, I had some pretty intense things happen to me, and I just have been having a really hard time recovering from that. And I don't know, it's crazy that like one person can affect your life like so much, where you just feel completely like lost, like when they're not there, and then trying to like re-navigate yourself like after that is, you know, hard. And then obviously like you're changing and life is changing, and you're still thinking about them and wanting them to be changing with you, and it doesn't always work that way. And yeah, so I just like had a lot of inner reflections this year of like things that I want to work on about myself, and things that I want to be different next year in my life, and just kind of moving forward with life and trying to, you know, be there for myself more, and putting myself first more, being more selfish. You know, I always feel like I do so much for other people, and it's never very rare. Okay, not never. It's very rarely, you know, where people will do the same for me. And I'm just kind of to a point where I feel like I just can't do that to myself anymore. I can't keep giving so much of myself to people and situations, and like mainly I'm talking friends. When I say people, like I give so much of myself for everyone, and I don't ever feel like it is ever returned, and or just not returned in the ways that like I need it. And I feel like I was at like some of my lowest points this year, and it really kind of showed me like who is like a true friend or not, and showed me, you know, people that I can rely on and people I can't. And it hurts because the people that you thought you could rely on, you can't. And I just like want to be more self-reliant. I don't want to have to like look for people for advice and help, and because a lot of the times they don't care. A lot of people are really, really self-centered, I've learned in the past year. And like unless you're benefiting them in their life, and you know, you don't really matter. Like if you're, you know, I've always kind of been like the party girlfriend, and sometimes you can't be that friend when you're going through a really hard time and really like severe depression, and or you're struggling with suicidal stuff. You can't really be out partying, you know, you have to take time away from that. And the people that want nothing to do with you when you're not being that person, that version of yourself, the party person, when you're not being that, and they don't want anything to do with you because you're not, that's not real friendship. That's just someone who's looking to use you and who benefits from your energy. So therefore they're just draining your energy because they don't really care about you, and they don't really care about your mental wellness or mental being. And just sick of, I'd rather have like 4 friends than like friends that just don't give a fuck about me when it comes down to it. Like truly care about my well-being, and truly like are there for me. So yeah, that was something I've kind of like realized over the past year that I want to change in 2022. Just like being more selfish, I guess. Not in a way where it's like a negative way, but in a way where I'm like protecting myself and my energy from people who don't really care and who don't really like give a shit whether I'm good or not. And you know, obviously drinking is a depressant, so when you're depressed and you drink, it just maybe in the moment, temporarily, it relieves whatever is on your mind and whatever you're dealing with. But, you know, when you sober up and you reflect, you're probably in the same place that you were before, if not worse, because you're just depressing yourself more and more and more, instead of dealing with what's going on and letting yourself like deal with it, you know. So just having to be careful about that, and just this can kind of go into like protecting your energy. So obviously with the holidays, we're gonna revert. That was kind of like a rant that I didn't plan on doing, but obviously I needed to talk about it because I feel like I kind of always ask for like divine guidance with these podcasts, and so like anything that is usually weighing on my mind, even if it's like subconsciously, I kind of try to get into a good headspace before I do this, and really kind of let my angels kind of guide me on what to talk about and what I need to say to help my own self, because this is also therapy for me as well. So yeah, obviously I need to talk about that stuff, but we can kind of go into, it can kind of relate to the topic of protecting your own energy. So with the holidays, obviously everybody gets super stressed and anxious, and there's a lot going on, also like fighting and stuff like that. So protecting your own energy, what I like to do when I'm in situations where I feel like in a group setting, in a bigger setting like concert, whatever, and I'm feeling all the energies and I'm feeling super overwhelmed, what I like to do is I like to envision like a white light, like a ring, like almost like a ring of light around me, a ring of white light around me. And I just kind of like envision myself in this like little like safe haven bubble of just light and good energy and, you know, vibrations or whatever. And I just imagine like an angel just running around me, just building this light like up. And then I also just kind of imagine like all the energies, like all the dark energies, like stress, anxiety, like I picture them as like dark figures around it. And I just kind of like see the light just pushing them away and not letting them into my space. Obviously that it's really hard to do if you don't have like a super good imagination, but with practice and you know, time, it does get a lot easier, and it does help so much. And I do that in so many situations because obviously I have super bad anxiety. So being in crowds, but I love to go to concerts. So being in crowds, obviously that is a lot of energy, you know, around you. So that's the one thing that I use to protect myself, especially when there is anxious energies, or maybe there's somebody in the room that isn't the biggest fan of me. I kind of just don't even let that energy even invade my space, because that's just the easier way. Otherwise I'm just going to be stressed or anxious myself all night, and I use music as my escape from the world. So I don't want anybody ruining that experience, you know. So yeah, that's something that you can kind of use when you're at home with your like family and stuff. And oh my god, I hate stink bugs. I literally hate bugs like so much. And this house that I have been living in since September has so many bugs, and I literally hate it. And I'm just like not doing well with it. Okay, but anyway, so I killed the bugs, so we're good. But I've been getting better at killing bugs, so I guess that's a plus. But yeah, just using that when you're at home with your families and you're at the holidays, that can kind of be a good tool to kind of help you not absorb all the energies that are there, and really kind of just like let yourself have a good holiday, you know. And let yourself really like not be affected by other people and what other people are feeling, and just really kind of, you know, enjoy the rest and relaxation that maybe you don't always get to do. That's one way you can kind of do that for yourself, just envisioning that white ring of light like around you. And kind of like the reason I'm a very visual like person. Obviously I have a photographic memory, as I've said before on here. So I feel like that's why it works super well for me, like visualizing even the dark energies like as like figures, you know, because then I'm like can visualize like those energies like not invading my space. And I feel like that like obviously being a visual person, that like helps me a lot, you know. But yeah, so that's one technique that you can kind of use to help you not get super affected by energies and other people, you know, and letting yourself have a good holiday and, you know, whatever, or just letting yourself kind of step away from that. If you always like have people that get really, really like in your family that just get like so stressed out, and it's just like hard to be around, especially being, you know, someone who picks up on energies, or maybe just being an anxious person in general. It's really scary to be around people that aren't like in good moods sometimes. So yeah, those are little like things you can do. I'm always the person that's like steps away when I'm anxious, so it's like I'll just like go upstairs and just like be by myself for a little bit and just kind of like regroup. I'm definitely gonna bring my like sage and stuff so that I can just like constantly burn it and keep good energy around me if I'm feeling like super overwhelmed or super like oh my god, this is not even my feelings, you know, and just trying to be able to like really recognize like when it is my feelings and when it's not. I feel like that also will like help too, is just being like, wait a second, this isn't my feelings, like taking a step back and being like, nope, this isn't my feelings, like I'm releasing this does not serve me, you know, just being super strict about that. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, obviously with the holidays, that I was super so like intense about, which is the reason why I'm re-recording this. I kind of wanted to talk about like food guilt and shame around the holidays as well, because I feel like that kind of goes hand in hand of why certain people get anxious around the holidays, especially if you are currently struggling with an eating disorder, recovering from an eating disorder, maybe freshly recovered from an eating disorder, maybe like, or just like just anything revolving eating disorders and holidays can be so scary, because you're just like around people and food, and people say a lot of comments, and it's just kind of like trying to combat like what to say or do when these people are saying comments, because especially when you are like I've talked about this in one of my episodes before, but eating disorder is just like anxiety and depression. It kind of never really goes away. Like, it is a mental illness, and it can kind of stay with you really for life if you don't like, I don't even know if you can even really properly heal from it, because I feel like even when I'm in like super good headspace, sometimes it can really just still fuck with me. So obviously being around the holidays gets really scary, because obviously people make comments and don't necessarily understand that, you know, when they say things like, oh, if I eat this dessert, I'm gonna have to run a mile, like in our brains, we're thinking that, okay, if we, like, it's like, oh, like everything about yourself kind of goes out the window. Like, you don't care how you look, you don't care about your body versus their body, or like whatever. You just think, oh, that person said if they eat that, they're gonna have to run a mile to burn all the calories, therefore that I will have to do that too. And that's just some like the way that my brain works when I hear things like that. So I'm not like necessarily like speaking for everyone when it comes to that, but a lot of the times like things like those comments, oh, I can't have seconds, oh, I can't eat this, I'm on a diet, oh, I can't eat this, it's gonna make me so bloated. And it's like I hear those comments, and maybe other people can relate to this as well, which is why I'm talking about it, but like when I hear those comments, I just take everything that they said as like a grain of like, this person said that this food will make them fat, therefore I can't eat this food because it's gonna make me fat, or I can't have a second plate, or this or that or that. And it doesn't like matter, you just don't even think about anything like how your body looks compared to theirs, or like whatever. It's just a natural like, fuck, I can't eat that, this person said that it'll make me fat, so therefore I don't want to be fat, blah 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 blah. And it's learning something that I'm also going to have to like practice as well, but learning how to open the door for that conversation to just be like, hey, I really, you know, those kind of comments really kind of like trigger me a little bit. I just want to kind of like, can we not have any like negative food talk, because that kind of can create some food guilt and shame for me, and I'm just trying to enjoy this food without kind of like thinking about stuff like that. And that's a really hard conversation to have, especially with family, and especially with you know, if they're not really super understanding about mental health and mental disorders, and if they maybe don't necessarily even know about things that you have gone through, or maybe don't necessarily realize how severe that kind of stuff is for you, or you know what really triggers you. It's a hard conversation to have. It's scary, and it's not easy, and it's not pleasant. It's not like a fun conversation that you know you really want to have, but it's important because we don't want to be triggered by our loved ones, and we have to make sure that we're sharing like that uncomfortableness and opening that door and that space, because you don't want to be in an environment that's going to trigger that guilt and shame around food that you already have and trying to not have and trying to work through. So it's like super important to kind of just let people know, and that's something that I also need to work on too, because I feel like as we get older, more and more adults have severe like restrictive diets and food things, which is why I feel like eating disorders are so high, because there's just this crazy like fitness thing all the time, and just people promoting unhealthy diets, and maybe people themselves doing unhealthy diets, and then you know just like constant. I just feel like that's all as you get older people talk about is like their bodies and working out and food and this and this and that, and it's like, yes, it's good to be healthy, but also like people can forget how triggering that can be to people with eating disorders, or recovering from eating disorders, or even recovered who've been good. They can just tumble back down hearing all these things around food and guilt and just like restrictive eating, and it just creates a very toxic environment around food, and it just is really, you know, sad and scary, like how many people are affected by eating disorders now compared to even just a few years ago. So just making sure that we're finding the confidence in ourselves to kind of open that conversation with our family members, like, hey, can you please not say stuff like that really kind of triggers me, and it makes me really like not want to eat, and I want to be able to enjoy this food without any guilt. And obviously you can say it in different ways, you can kind of tailor it to your own way, but I'm just kind of like saying like a generic like basic like way to kind of combat. Or if you don't feel comfortable like saying something, maybe just change the subject, and make sure that you're getting your own mind off of that too, and not shaming your own self, like letting that shame of that they're feeling kind of like reflect onto you. So changing the subject and just kind of being like, hey, what about the Packers? Can't believe they won the other day, you know, like something stupid like that. Just like completely just deflecting whatever they said and not feeding into that energy, and really kind of like keeping a, you know, 2 steps away from that vibe and that energy and, you know, whatever. But yeah, so those are the kind of the 3, well, it was going to be the 2 points, then I kind of like went on a ramble for a while about the one thing. But yeah, those are kind of like the main things that I wanted to go like to talk with you guys about today, because that's something that I'm struggling with and having really bad anxiety about Christmas. And it's just always really hard because obviously with having an eating disorder has really kind of fucked up my body, and with my seasonal depression right now, I've been like kind of like just like loss of appetite, and like food just really doesn't taste like super good. Like I feel like I have to, like I feel like I'm at the point where if I'm craving something, like I have to eat it, otherwise everything else just tastes like shit, even if I like love it. And it's so annoying, right? It's so like unhealthy and toxic right now, but it's yeah, I don't know really like what else to do. But so I'm just like, and obviously having an eating disorder kind of like shrinks your stomach, so I always like get dumb comments like, oh, you're full already, oh, that's all you're eating. And I just like, I hate that, because I'm kind of like a graze eater, where I like to eat like small amounts throughout the day, because my stomach is so fucked up from having it like from years and years and years of abuse. So yeah, I always find that super frustrating, and I hate comments like that about like eating like a bird or stupid like things like that, because people just really don't understand like how your stomach can get that fucked up from having an eating disorder. So it's like you like physically can't handle that much like in your body at one time, and just sounds so like fucked up, and people just really don't like want to hear it or like hear about it usually, I feel like. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, just kind of like protect your energy, you know, maybe like find someone to like lean on, someone that you can like talk to, go to in your family, or maybe like a friend that you can call if things get super hard or overwhelming, and just take a step back, you know, step outside, go smoke a bowl in your car, I don't know, literally anything. Just anything that you kind of do to like take yourself away from the situations if you really, really need to, you know. And just remember that you are beautiful, no matter like how you look at yourself or how you see yourself. You are beautiful the way that you are, and your body is beautiful. It takes care of you, it supports you, and just kind of reminding yourself that like giving it nutrients is not a bad thing. And like when you view it as giving your body nutrients instead of eating, sometimes I can like kind of flip that switch in your brain that's like, oh, eating is bad, eating makes me gain weight. But like when you're like you like viewing yourself as like a plant and you're giving yourself nutrients, I feel like that kind of helps like combat like your own negative thought patterns around eating in a way, maybe even just if it's temporarily, you know. But you are someone who is struggling around the holidays, just from being sad, being depressed, being, you know, anxious or worried, or maybe being around your family is not super easy for you, and you need someone to talk to. As you guys know, I say this all the time, but I'm always going to say it. My DMs are always, always open. Everything is linked below of ways to get a hold of me: email, Instagram, personal Instagram, the podcast Instagram, my email. If you want to email me, you can leave a comment below and I can email you, you know, whatever you would like prefer, any way you want to talk to me. There's multiple ways linked below. If you need somebody to talk to, or just need someone to listen to, maybe don't even necessarily want advice, just someone to listen to you, I'm here for you. And yeah, I'm also really excited to kind of talk about that I'm going to be putting some like extra podcast episodes on SoundCloud, because I like to get really, 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 really high and just talk about like really random things. And I just want a space to kind of post those that's kind of separate from like the Up in the Clouds space. Because those can just be like, those are literally just rambles, like literally rambles. And I just want like, I don't know, I like talking when I have like a lot on my mind, and like this is like super, super therapeutic for me. So yeah, I'll start linking my SoundCloud below when I start posting more of those like high episodes like on SoundCloud, so that you guys can follow along there if you're interested in that. If you liked this episode, please give this video a thumbs up, or leave a comment about what you liked the most, or leave a comment about things that you want to hear me talk about in the future, something that I talked about, or something that you want to hear more about, or something, you know, that you just would like to have me talk about in an episode. I would love to do that for you. So just, yeah, leave a comment or message me about whatever you want to hear, and I will try to like make an episode about it as soon as I can. But yeah, other than that, I'm sending so much love and light for you guys during this holiday season. If you are someone that has a really hard time with the holidays, you're not alone. And reach out to people, talk to people, let people be there for you. You know, find the one person that you can trust, that you can just have to be your shoulder through this if you're having a really tough time. But just remember that you are loved, and everything you feel is valid, and it is okay to, you know, not be okay, but it's not okay to not be okay forever. You know, it's allowed, let yourself feel what you need to feel, but make sure you're dealing with those feelings and not pushing them away as well. But I love you guys so, 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 so much, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. Next time I will see you will be after Christmas. So I hope you have a merry, 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 merry Christmas, and I love you guys so, so, so much. Sending you all love and light, and I will see you guys next week after Christmas. Bye!